What is up, everybody? I'm Mechagodzilla, and as I promised in one of my comments down below, actually wanted me to introduce this type of what if that I actually not actually considered yet, but I decided to do it just in case. Now, this will be a one shot of this what if because Godzilla will be just too overpowered for me to do any other part, so just be a one shot what if. Now, to explain, if you're not seeing the picture yet or not seeing the entire title, this is what if Godzilla got Broly's power. Basically, I'm giving Godzilla the power of Broly to adapt and evolve much more faster in battle, to grow stronger as he continues the battle. So this will actually give a really big benefit to Godzilla's power. This Godzilla constantly been fighting enemies for over the years, being millions of years. With Broly's potential on top of that, Godzilla became much stronger than he would have been before. Now, if we were to actually use power scaling, Godzilla will most likely go from normal multi-continental with Broly's potential to all the way up to galaxy, if not even higher. But I'm not here to power scaling or anything like that. But you just know the difference that in power is much higher than ever before. Over the millions of years, Godzilla actually would have noticed his power is growing much stronger. Even though he's not absorbing radiation as he used to, his power continues to grow stronger as he continues to battle much more titans. Of course, Godzilla will be pretty intrigued at this new mutation that he has in his genes, but he decides to not bother with it. This is actually really beneficial for him. Due to it, he can save all of his energy and not actually use a lot, meaning that Godzilla will only have his developed dorsal plates that he had in GVK, or you could say in Godzilla of 2014, much more earlier on. With this, of course, Godzilla will be much stronger and eventually will actually not be kicked out of his original HUD being by the rival. This Godzilla actually be much stronger, he'll be able to defeat the rival and eventually still own his place. Godzilla, of course, will continue on with his battles and eventually face off against the Mutos. But if Godzilla be much more stronger, he'll easily able to defeat both the female and male Muto with no difficulty with his power. Due to Godzilla practically growing stronger as he continues the battle, the power increase will be much more than the damage that both Mutos can actually do to him. Due to his durability increasing as he grows stronger, Godzilla will just basically defeat the Mutos with ease. Of course, the male Muto will give him some trouble, even the female Muto as well, but their ability to practically stop his atomic breath will not be enough due to Godzilla just growing stronger and eventually overpowering that ability. Godzilla, of course, will continue to grow stronger over the years, and eventually when he faces Muto Prime, he actually does not suffer the effects of practically needing to destroy his dorsal plates, but instead his dorsal plates will already been developed to a new stage, being like he was in the King of the Monsters already when he faced against the Muto Prime. When the Muto Prime does use his Sonic Scream, it actually does not even harm Godzilla's dorsal plates. It actually does not even scratch them at all due to Godzilla's durability being intensely increased. Godzilla will just get angered, and of course the Muto Prime trying to practically destroy his dorsal plates. That will give a much more big of a boost because of the intense power he was able to gain. With this, of course, he was easily able to kill the Muto Prime and eventually leave. With his easy battle, Godzilla has grown immensely stronger, but he knows that maybe in the future he'll get even much more challenges, but he will just have to see for now. Godzilla then eventually decides to lay down his lair and eventually relax, knowing that with his power he will most likely grow stronger than before in battle, so he does not need to rush things, so you just let things flow as they are now. Eventually, of course, Godzilla will just continue to lay down and eventually continue to absorb radiation slowly. Of course, Godzilla does not need to absorb radiation due to his new potential or power that he was able to gain because of Broly. With, of course, this almost like it would have made Godzilla incredibly stronger, and he actually does not need to actually waste that much of energy he does originally. With this, of course, Godzilla will be much more powerful and stronger than before, and his energy reserves will be much more filled than they have been before. Of course, with Godzilla's new changes, all the times would have noticed Godzilla's incredible strength and power. And eventually, when Ghidorah is actually awoken, when he actually does his alpha call, he actually does not attract any titans because all the titans have sensed that Godzilla has grown immensely stronger than ever before. So even when Ghidorah does use the alpha call, he still is weaker than Godzilla. Of course, Godzilla will still face off against King Ghidorah, but of course Ghidorah will still flee, but he'll actually be slightly injured because of Godzilla's incredible power. Godzilla's grown so much stronger that his power is much more higher than Ghidorah even when he was just awoken. Eventually when Ghidorah did recover, he tried to use the Alpha Call when after he defeated Rodan, but this was actually did not affect as much times as Ghidorah actually thought it would. Only Rodan was affected by it, but the other Titans did not listen to him. Because of Godzilla growing stronger, he also decided to make his rule on the other Titans to be clear. Godzilla, over the millions of years, made it so he is known to be a king of the monsters, and he just grew stronger each battle he is in. So almost every Titan in the entire world knows that Godzilla is the boss, not Ghidorah. Of course, Ghidorah is incredibly angry that nobody is listening to him, but eventually Godzilla does show up. He has to face off against Ghidorah in Boston. Of course, Godzilla is not aimed by a nuke, but with his immense power, he can actually be strong as that, if not even more. With, of course, Godzilla's power able to practically give him an edge on Ghidorah. Even when Ghidorah does amp himself, it only just matches the scales to be even, meaning that both were now even in power. But Godzilla just continues to grow stronger as the battle goes on. With Mothra's help, even though he does not need her help, she's able to practically take Rodan. Of course, Godzilla decided to practically help her out, and then she fired an atomic breath, able to stun Rodan, while Mothra deals much more damage as well. Godzilla eventually continues to pull on Ghidorah, and Ghidorah is incredibly angered that he cannot defeat the G-Man. Of course, Godzilla will just chuckle slightly. Of course, Ghidorah will be pretty insulted by a chuckle and eventually try to fire multiple gravity beams at him, but Godzilla will be unfazed as he just walks by it. Godzilla decides to practically try out something new that has been wanting to do for years, ever since he actually battled with Shimo. Godzilla then starts to power up, and eventually all his body starts to glow blue. Godzilla was entering his blue thermal state. In this, of course, Ghidorah will be in shock by seeing this state, and eventually Godzilla uses an MP blast and eventually electrocutes Ghidorah. Ghidorah is, of course, not boosted by the electricity, but instead damaged because it's reactive, and it's made from the G-Man's energy, meaning that Ghidorah cannot absorb it. Because it's so much stronger than his, that if he tries to absorb it, his body will overload. Of course, Godzilla is easily able to defeat Ghidorah, just like he did when he was burning Godzilla or thermal Godzilla normally. With this, of course, he's easily able to defeat Ghidorah, and Mothra actually lives. Of course, with this, we will still continue on with GBK. Of course, due to Godzilla being much stronger, he will most likely have much more easier time defeating Kong. Not even using 50% of his power when he faces off against Kong, instead he only uses 1% of his power, because Godzilla has grown so much stronger that in base alone he's even stronger than ever before. He's easily able to toss up Kong away, even so much so that Kong is actually stumbled back. Of course, eventually after most of Monarch actually finds out that Kong is actually weaker than Godzilla, they decide to practically help Kong get stronger. Of course, with some later upgrades, they were able to practically get the Beast Glove much more early on. Not only just because they wanted to practically make Kong stronger, but also knew that if a new threat does arise, Kong must be stronger as well. So eventually they decided to keep Kong hidden for a couple of months, knowing that would be the only way for him to be safe from Godzilla. Of course, Godzilla also go into his own rampage of trying to destroy Mechagodzilla's remains. Because Apex, most likely Mechagodzilla will still be built. But due to Godzilla's new showing of powers, they decided to practically upgrade Mechagodzilla to be much more powerful. Not only just increase the weight of Mechagodzilla, but also increase his power and arsenal of weapons. They decided to practically add even an atomic absorption device, which can absorb the energy of the G-Man with ease. Of course, with this, Apex would have made Mechagodzilla much stronger if it was focusing much more of its resources to Mechagodzilla than anything else. Because of this, of course, this raised much more suspicion to Apex than ever before, which would most likely would have made Bernie to probably suspect them even much more earlier on, and eventually able to find out the truth really fast. Eventually, of course, Mechagodzilla is still taking control by Ghidorah, but of course, in this time, Godzilla actually does not want to fight Kong, but instead actually wants to actually talk with him instead. Of course, Kong is confused of what Godzilla wants to talk about, but eventually in both their Titan languages, Godzilla explains to Kong that he wants to practically help him with that he has been sensing for a really long time. He can practically sense Ghidorah's presence once again, but it's a glimpse. It's different in a way, but Godzilla cannot tell why. Of course, Kong decides to listen to Godzilla, knowing that he will not bow to Godzilla, but he will decide to help him with this problem. But he asks Godzilla if he can do him a favor. Of course, Godzilla being the king of the monsters, decides to oblige to his request. With, of course, Kong wanting to practically live in both the whole Earth and on the land that Godzilla lives as well, peacefully with him. He doesn't want to be a king of the monsters, but he'll be a king of his own kind, if he agrees to that. Even though Kong is the last of his species, he wants to be his own king. Of course, Godzilla decides to agree to his proposal, since Kong will not actually disobey him, nor he will probably try to kill him like the other Titans and Ghidorah did. So Godzilla decides to agree to this deal. Mothra also appears so she can guide both Godzilla and Kong in his request, as they're eventually able to find Mechagodzilla. Of course, Mechagodzilla is still taken control by Ghidorah, and eventually fights both Godzilla and Kong. But this time, this Mechagodzilla is much stronger than ever before because of the upgrades he was able to gain. This would also would have meant that this battle would be much more closer than it was originally. Because of Mechagodzilla able to absorb the G-Man's radiation, Godzilla would just have to rely on his increasing ability of growing stronger in battle. Of course, Mechagodzilla can absorb almost instantly his radiation, but his strength can actually increase when he battles Mechagodzilla. Of course, Godzilla and Mechagodzilla will have their tussle, and eventually both of them will equally match. But with Kong's help, they're able to practically take the scales to their own favor. And with Mothra's help as well, they're able to practically defeat Mechagodzilla after a really long battle. They're able to defeat Mechagodzilla, and eventually Mark is able to practically use the pieces of Mechagodzilla to make Kong's base glove. This base glove will be much more stronger and much more durable than the previous base glove. And eventually both Kong and Godzilla will live peacefully, with Kong being the king of the whole Earth, and Godzilla being the king of the monsters on Earth. Eventually both Titans will be incredibly powerful. Eventually, of course, Godzilla will have to practically go to a new stage of evolution. Knowing that for him to grow stronger, he must evolve himself. And eventually, Godzilla will still go on the same rampage he did, but much more peaceful than before. He's not just steal nuclear plants, but instead he will secretly absorb them without the notice of many people, and eventually will go to Tiamat's lair and eventually absorb her DNA, and eventually evolving to his evolved state. With this, of course, Godzilla became much more powerful and stronger, and because of his potential, Godzilla would just grow even stronger after evolving. Kong, of course, would get much stronger, and eventually his beast glove would have became the beast gauntlet. Instead of the glove, the beast gauntlet would be much stronger than beast glove by over 20 times. Because the monarch wanted to make Kong strong enough so he can even take threats like Ghidorah and maybe even Godzilla in the future. With Godzilla's incredible new strength, Mothra decided to practically explore the whole Earth and eventually evolve to her new stage, being her new state. With her new stage of power, Godzilla was able to sense that Mothra has become much stronger, and he was really happy that his mate was much stronger than ever before. But he's also happy that his rival and now friend Kong is also growing stronger. But he can practically detect that Kong is having problems with whole Earth, so Godzilla has to accompany him inside whole Earth when he enters. And eventually, both Godzilla and Kong were able to find the Scar King's lair. Of course, both Godzilla and Kong are shocked to see how many apes are around, with of course the help of Suko as well. Of course, eventually after Kong is able to practically defeat some apes, of course Scar King appears and eventually decides to fight Kong. Of course, Godzilla just stays behind so he can see if Kong can actually deal with Scar King. Of course, Godzilla can already deal with Scar King and his army with ease, but he wants to see how Kong will fare against Scar King. Kong has actually been training with Godzilla and has had many battles with Godzilla, so he's pretty experienced in battle. Of course, Scar King is incredibly agile, is able to practically take the edge on Kong, but Kong is able to overpower him with his immense strength and speed as well. With of course, Kong has actually prevailed the winner in the battle much more easier than original. Of course, when Scar King does summon Shimo, Godzilla just instantly blasts her with an atomic breath, actually injuring her slightly because of the power difference. Godzilla is growing immensely stronger than ever before, that now his atomic breath in his evolved state is so strong that he actually can damage Shimo. With this, of course, Godzilla is easily able to free Shimo from her shackles, but eventually restrain her so he does not intervene in the battle with Kong and Scar King. Eventually, of course, Scar King will be on the back foot, and eventually Kong will break the crystal that Scar King has, eventually breaking Shimo of his control. Of course, Shimo would free Scar King, and eventually Kong would have killed him like they did in the movie. Godzilla will set aside that Kong has actually defeated one of the threats he has been trying to actually deal with a long time ago. But Godzilla does wish good luck to Kong of being a new king of the whole Earth. Kong would then nod and thank Godzilla, with Godzilla just nodding back, saying it's no problem, and eventually go back to Earth to rule as the king of the monsters, knowing that the other Titans were most likely trying to practically take his place by that time. He also would have killed Skyla because of her disobedience. Because she was most likely after her new evolved state, she most likely would think that she most likely would have a chance against Godzilla. But with Godzilla's newly increased power, he was easily able to toss her around with ease, having no difficulty. With this, of course, many years of peaceful time will occur on Earth and both whole Earth, with both kings being respectful to one another and knowing who's stronger between the two of them. But Kong does respect Godzilla a lot, and Godzilla also respects Kong as well. Both of them being rivals and respectful friends to one another, being also a helpful friend as well. With Godzilla's new power, he is known to be the strongest Titan to ever exist. Maybe even ever than ever before, because he is most likely to be the only one to acquire this type of ability. But that is the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Give this video to 10 likes, and maybe I'll do another crossover between Dragon powers and the Monsterverse itself. I'll see you guys in the next one. Sayonara.